We've all had those moments. The message left on read, the phone clutched in hope for a reply that never comes. The photo we refuse to delete, even when it only brings back a dull ache. The quiet promises whispered late at night, still lingering long after they've been broken. There's a tenderness to the way we hold on, a kind of sacred loyalty, even to what wounds us. But have you ever paused and asked yourself, why do we cling so fiercely, even to the very things that fracture our hearts? Why do we carry the weight of memories that no longer nurture us, dreams that no longer fit who we are, or identities shaped by pain rather than truth? It's not because we are weak. It's not because we are broken. We hold on because, deep down, we are searching for safety. We are longing for something solid to anchor ourselves in a world that seems to shift beneath our feet with every passing moment. Life, by its very nature, is impermanent. The people we love will change, the roles we inhabit will evolve, and even the self we think we are today will not be the self we become tomorrow. And yet, knowing this does little to soften the ache inside us. Because in the spaces where life feels uncertain, clinging feels like survival. We don't cling because we are foolish. We cling because we are human. Today, we are not here to judge ourselves for holding on. We are not here to scold the tender heart that hoped, that believed, that loved. This journey is not about blame. It is about understanding. It is about bringing a soft, compassionate awareness to the places within us that are afraid to let go. Because sometimes, it is not the letting go itself that hurts the most. It is the fear of what letting go might reveal. What if letting go doesn't mean falling into emptiness? What if it means falling into freedom? In the chapters ahead, we will explore the quiet truths behind our clinging, the hidden costs of refusing to release, and the unexpected strength that comes not from holding on, but from letting go. This is not a journey of loss. It is a journey of return. So come, let us step together into the tender, brave work of loosening our grip, not as an act of defeat, but as a way of coming home. Chapter 1: Why We Hold On. From the very beginning, our lives are woven with threads of attachment. A newborn clutches a mother's finger, instinctively reaching for the warmth that means survival. A child grasps at toys, at friends, at dreams spun from the pure fabric of imagination. Even as adults, we hold on to names, titles, relationships, small islands of meaning in a world that often feels vast and uncertain. This holding is not a flaw. It is not a mistake. It is a deeply human instinct, the desire to belong, to matter, to be held ourselves. We are born into a world that changes without asking. Seasons shift. Loved ones grow and leave. Dreams evolve or fade. And somewhere inside us, a voice whispers, if I can just hold tight enough, maybe I can keep something the same. We cling to people, to roles, to identities, not because they are perfect, but because they offer familiarity. They feel like anchors in a river that never stops moving. There is a subtle kind of desperation hidden inside even the gentlest attachments, a hope that maybe, just maybe, we can make the impermanent permanent. That if we love deeply enough, work hard enough, believe strongly enough, we can outpace the tides of loss and change. But the Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. They arise and pass away. It's not the world that betrays us. It's our misunderstanding of its nature. When we confuse the temporary with the eternal, we suffer. We begin to grip tighter and tighter, believing that if we just try harder, we can stop the inevitable from happening. We don't want to lose the people we love. We don't want to lose the stories we've written about who we are. We don't want to lose the illusions that shield us from the unsettling vastness of life's uncertainty. And so, clinging becomes our armor. An armor woven not from strength, but from fear. Fear that if we let go, we will disappear. Fear that if we loosen our hold, everything will crumble into meaninglessness. But ironically, it is this very act of holding that tightens the suffering. It's like grasping a rose too hard. The thorns cut deeper the harder we squeeze. In Buddhist teachings, this primal tension is known as tanha, craving, thirst. The endless reaching for satisfaction, for stability, for something that will not change. Tanha is not just craving for pleasure. It is craving for permanence in a world that promises none. It's important to see this clearly. We do not cling because we are foolish. We cling because we long for safety, for love, for belonging. There's a kind of innocent beauty in it, a childlike hope that we might find something solid in the midst of so much flux. But understanding this doesn't mean we should stay trapped. Awareness invites us to soften, to recognize the impulse without letting it dictate our lives. Holding on becomes suffering only when we hold on blindly, when we refuse to see that the very river we are trying to stop is the river that carries us toward deeper truth. There is something even more hidden in this process, something quieter but profoundly powerful. We don't just cling to things because we fear loss. We cling because we want to be someone. We crave an identity that feels fixed. We want to be seen, remembered, validated. We construct a self out of memories, achievements, relationships, a self that says, "This is who I am." But the Buddha pointed to a radical truth. The self is not a fixed thing. It is a process, a collection of ever-changing conditions. A river, not a stone. When we cling to a static version of ourselves, we suffer. Because life keeps moving, and the version of me we try so hard to preserve begins to crack under the weight of reality. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Many of the attachments we form are unconscious. They arise from old wounds, from inherited fears, from habits of mind shaped long before we had the awareness to question them. And so, without realizing it, we build our lives around patterns of clinging, mistaking them for destiny. The good news, the liberating news, is that once we see this, truly see it, we are no longer bound. The first step is not to force ourselves to let go. The first step is to bring compassion to the places inside us that are terrified to loosen their grip. To say gently, "I see you. I understand why you're afraid. And when you're ready, you can set it down." This is not weakness. This is wisdom wrapped in kindness. We hold on because we are human, but we also have the capacity to awaken, to recognize the beauty of what changes, to trust the spaciousness that comes when we no longer need everything to stay the same. And in that trust, the first seeds of true freedom are planted. Chapter 2. What happens when we can't let go? At first, holding on feels like strength. It feels like loyalty, like resilience, like a quiet refusal to abandon what once mattered to us. We think, if I can just keep carrying this, I'll honor what was. I'll protect who I am. But over time, the weight of what we carry changes us. The memories we once cherished turn into anchors. The dreams we once reached for begin to constrict like vines. The roles we played, the identities we wore, they harden into cages that no longer fit the shape of our becoming. When we cannot let go, we don't merely remember the past, we live in it. We replay old conversations in our minds. We resurrect old wounds in our hearts. We measure new experiences against old griefs. It's like trying to walk forward while dragging a heavy cart filled with everything we refuse to release. Eventually, it doesn't just slow us down, it immobilizes us. There is a quiet kind of suffering that grows here. Not the sharp agony of fresh loss, but the dull, persistent ache of stagnation. A heaviness that clouds our days and dims our ability to truly see what is right in front of us. And often, we don't even realize the cost we are paying. We believe that by holding on, we are preserving something precious. But in truth, we are sacrificing the vitality of the present moment, the only place life truly happens. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, not because life is cruel, but because everything we try to hold on to is, by nature, fleeting. Love changes shape. People evolve. Circumstances shift. Even the self we cling to is constantly being rewritten, breath by breath. When we cannot let go, we start confusing the echoes of the past with the voice of the present. We view new opportunities through the dusty lens of old betrayals. We hold new relationships hostage to the hurts of old ones. We begin to armor ourselves against life itself. There is an exhaustion that comes from trying to control what cannot be controlled. A bone-deep fatigue from resisting the natural ebb and flow of existence. The more we grip, the more we suffer. And the irony is painful. The very effort to protect ourselves becomes the source of our deepest wounds. Life, whether we welcome it or not, moves. It births and destroys, it opens and closes, it rises and falls. It does not ask our permission. When we refuse to move with it, we fracture ourselves. We become like a tree resisting the wind, not bending, not flowing, but cracking under the pressure of a force we cannot stop. The Buddha offered a different way. He did not say, "Feel nothing." He did not say, "Detach from life." He simply invited us to see. Peace does not come from clutching tighter. Peace comes from softening our hands, from loosening the grip, from trusting the rhythm of change. Letting go is not giving up. It's finally laying down the burdens that were never meant to be carried forever. It's stepping out of the river of struggle and learning how to float. There's a profound teaching hidden here. What we hold eventually holds us. The grudge you nurture in your heart, it becomes the prison you live inside. The fear you refuse to release, it becomes the lens through which you see every relationship, every opportunity, every dream. The story you keep telling yourself about your failures, your losses, your betrayals, it shapes the life you think you are allowed to live. This is karma in one of its simplest and clearest forms, not as punishment, but as cause and effect. What you cling to, clings to you. But there is always another path. When we release, not with bitterness, but with clarity, space opens up. Breath returns. Possibility unfurls. Still, a voice often rises in the quiet. If I let go, what will be left of me? It's a tender fear. A fear that if we drop the stories, the roles, the wounds, we will vanish into emptiness. But here is the deeper truth. When we let go, we do not lose ourselves. We lose the layers that never truly defined us. We lose the masks we wore to protect our fragile hopes. We lose the defenses we built against a world we thought was dangerous. We lose the illusions that kept us small. What remains is not nothingness. It is clarity. It is spaciousness. It is life, raw and vivid and breathtaking. And yes, there is heartbreak too, especially when it comes to love. To love someone and to release them when the time comes. To let go of the version of them we once knew. To make space for who they are now, or even to bless them as they leave, is one of the fiercest acts of courage. Love and clinging are not the same. The Buddha never said to love less. He said to love without possession, to care without gripping, to feel deeply without imprisoning ourselves in the need to make anything permanent. Real love breathes. It grows. It changes. And sometimes, it means letting go not because the love was false, but because love, in its truest form, honors freedom, yours and theirs. When we understand this, heartbreak does not become failure. It becomes transformation. The heart doesn't grow strong by never breaking. It grows strong by breaking open and learning, each time, to remain soft. In letting go, we do not erase love. We release the clinging that distorts it. And in doing so, we rediscover a love more spacious, more compassionate, and more real than anything fear could ever create. Chapter 3. What letting go really means. Letting go is often misunderstood. To many, it sounds like defeat, like giving up on something that once mattered deeply. It sounds like abandonment, or resignation, or betrayal. We are taught, from an early age, that strength means holding on, fighting, refusing to yield. But true letting go is none of these things. It is not weakness. It is not surrender in the way the world defines surrender. It is, in fact, one of the most courageous acts a human being can undertake. Letting go is not about loving less. It is about loving differently. It is about loving without the chains of expectation, without the desperation to control, without the need to possess. When we hold too tightly, love suffocates. When we release our grip, love breathes. The Buddha understood this so clearly. He did not teach that we should stop caring. He taught that we should stop clinging, because clinging transforms even the purest love into a source of suffering. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hands. If you close your fist tightly, you crush it. If you leave your hand open, it may stay or it may fly away. But either way, it remains alive, beautiful, free. Letting go is not about erasing what matters to us. It is about honoring it enough to allow it to change, to move, to evolve as it needs to. It's about recognizing that the people, dreams, and identities we love are not ours to own. They are gifts, temporary visitors in the house of our lives. And our task is not to trap them, but to welcome them. And, when the time comes, to bless them as they go. When we stop tying our peace to specific outcomes, something remarkable happens. We begin to live from a deeper place. A place not ruled by fear, or craving, or the desperate need for control. We discover that peace was never dependent on whether things turned out the way we wanted. Peace was always available, hidden just beneath our clinging, waiting for us to loosen our grip. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we resist what is, when we fight the current of life, when we demand that things stay still, when we refuse to accept the natural flow of beginnings and endings. But when we let go, not with bitterness, but with trust, resistance softens. Struggle diminishes. A quiet strength emerges. It's not loud. It doesn't roar or conquer. It moves like water, flowing around obstacles, finding its way with patience and grace. This is not passivity. This is not apathy. It is active, living surrender, an intelligent, conscious alignment with the way things truly are. And there's a profound paradox here. When you stop fighting life, you don't become weaker. You become infinitely stronger. Because your strength no longer comes from the brittle armor of resistance. It comes from the unshakable foundation of acceptance. Letting go doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you feel everything more fully, more honestly, without the distortion of clinging. You can grieve without drowning. You can love without losing yourself. You can dream without demanding that life obey your scripts. You become like a tree rooted deeply in the earth, swaying with the winds of change, but never breaking. The Buddha once said, "Drop by drop, the water jar is filled." And so it is with peace. Not in one grand, heroic act of letting go, but drop by drop, moment by moment, breath by breath. Every time you soften your grasp, every time you breathe into discomfort instead of fleeing it, every time you allow a memory or a person or a dream to pass through your open hands, you are filling the jar. You are becoming free. And here's the most beautiful part. When you let go, you don't lose love. You find a truer, deeper love. A love that doesn't cling, doesn't grasp, doesn't demand. A love that respects freedom, yours and theirs. A love that can celebrate what was, bless what is, and trust whatever comes next. This kind of love is not fragile. It does not shatter when circumstances change. It does not wither when old forms fall away. It expands. It endures. It transforms. Letting go is not about becoming empty. It's about becoming spacious, large enough to hold the full range of human experience without needing to control or possess it. It's about realizing that you are not the roles you play, not the relationships you keep, not even the dreams you pursue. You are the awareness that welcomes all of it and holds none of it too tightly. When we live this way, life becomes lighter. Not because it is easier, but because we are no longer carrying the unbearable weight of trying to make the impermanent permanent. We are no longer fighting the river. We are learning to swim. We are no longer clutching at falling leaves. We are walking through the forest, letting them fall around us like blessings. This is what letting go really means. Not abandonment, not coldness, not defeat, but a profound act of faith in life itself. A faith that says, whatever comes, I will meet it with open hands. Whatever leaves, I will bless it as it goes. And through it all, I will remain rooted in something deeper than any change, rooted in the very ground of being itself. Chapter 4. If I lose everything, what do I have left? There comes a moment, sometimes sudden and sometimes slow, when life strips everything away. The title you carried like a badge. The relationships that wove your days into meaning. The plans you built so carefully, brick by brick, in your mind. Gone. Sometimes it's a loss that tears the fabric, grief, heartbreak, failure. Sometimes it's simply the quiet erosion of time, washing away what once seemed so permanent. And when that moment comes, you are left standing in a silence so profound it almost hums. In that silence, the old questions no longer make sense. Who am I? What do I have? What is next? Instead, a deeper question emerges, soft, almost inaudible. If I lose everything, what remains? At first, the mind panics. It scrambles for ground, for identity, for something, anything, to cling to. It tries to rebuild the old structures, even from ashes. But if you can stay with the silence a little longer, if you can resist the urge to fill it, you begin to notice something extraordinary. What remains is not emptiness. What remains is presence. A quiet, steady awareness that was there long before you built your first dream, loved your first person, or spoke your first word. This awareness is not something you can own. It is not something you can lose. It is simply the space in which all things arise and fall. The Buddha pointed to this again and again. Be a light unto yourself, he said. Not a light made of external achievements or relationships or beliefs, but the intrinsic, unwavering light of awareness itself. Even when the body changes, when the mind forgets, when the world moves on, you remain. Not as a story, not as a memory, not as a role, but as the silent witness to it all. When everything else is stripped away, the truth is revealed. You were never the things you clung to. You were never the stories you told yourself. You were never the shifting tides of gain and loss, joy and sorrow, success and failure. You are the open sky beneath which the storms come and go. You are the still ground beneath the river's ever-changing flow. And here's another secret. Even when others leave, even when love changes form, even when the world feels barren, you are not alone. Because in that deep presence, a different kind of love reveals itself. A love that is no longer tethered to possession or expectation. A love that sees the suffering of all beings and responds not with clinging, but with compassion. It's not the desperate love that says, "Stay so I don't have to be afraid." It's the spacious love that says, "Go if you must, and may you be well." It's the kind of love that does not depend on whether it is returned. It does not shrink or harden in the face of loss. It remains soft, open, unshakable. This is the love the Buddha embodied. A love vast enough to hold the entire world, yet free enough to let the world move through it. When you realize this, you understand. Nothing real is ever lost. The forms change. The faces change. The stories change. But the essence, the presence, the capacity to love, to be aware, to be, remains untouched. It's easy to fear that without our roles, our attachments, our achievements, we are nothing. But the truth is more radical and more beautiful. Without all those layers, we are everything. We are the breath moving in and out, without needing to be named. We are the stillness beneath thought, the silence between words. We are life itself, flowing, changing, vast and free. And when the storms of loss come, and they will, you will not be destroyed. You will bend. You will grieve. You will weep. But you will not break. Because you will know that the ground beneath you is not the shifting sands of circumstance. It is the unshakable stillness of being. This is why the Buddha did not promise that life would be painless. He did not promise that love would never end, or that dreams would never shatter. He promised something deeper, that within the heart of impermanence, there is a refuge, a place not of escape, but of profound, unwavering peace. A place where you can lose everything and still remain whole. When you realize this, loss no longer defines you. Change no longer terrifies you. You can walk through grief with open hands, knowing that even as the world falls away, you are not falling. You are being revealed. In the end, letting go is not about giving up what matters most. It's about discovering that what matters most was never something that could be taken from you. It was never outside you. It was you, all along. Letting go is not the end of love. It's not the death of meaning. It's not the collapse of who you are. It's the return. The return to something deeper than any story you've lived. The return to the awareness that was never lost, never broken, never diminished by the tides of change. When we loosen our grip, we don't fall into emptiness. We fall into presence. We discover that the open hands we once feared are the very hands that can hold life most tenderly. Without clinging, love becomes freer, truer. Without fear, grief becomes sacred. Without control, life becomes an unfolding mystery we are no longer at war with, but in harmony with. The Buddha never promised us a life without loss. He simply showed us that even in loss, even in the unraveling of everything we thought we needed, there is a stillness we can trust. A home that cannot be destroyed. A peace that cannot be taken. It is not found by grasping tighter. It is found by surrendering, with clarity, with courage, with compassion. Letting go is not a punishment. It is an invitation. An invitation to live with open hands and an open heart. To walk lightly through a world that is always changing, always moving, always alive. And when we accept that invitation, we find what was hidden all along. That home was never somewhere we had to reach. It was always here, in the soft breath, in the silent witness, in the simple, unbreakable truth of being. Letting go is not the end. It's the way home.